Can you just explain for our studio audience and our live streaming audience what the heck you guys do? Who are you?
Sure. SpotXchange. As you know, I'm a very simple man, and it's pretty straightforward. It's an exchange for online video ad spots, hence the term SpotXchange. But very simply, I mean, the way that works is we work with publishers. They really dump their inventory into the exchange. They essentially use our self-serve tools to set their ask price. They send a call into the marketplace, and we auction it off. And we auction it off to as many buyers as we possibly can muster up. And that means there's a lot of different buyers. There's direct buys from agencies. There's direct buys from clients. There's the actual advertisers. There's also there's buys from RTB bidders. So those agency trading desks, those DSPs, etc. And we try to add as much intelligence to that actual call in the marketplace. Right? We try to obviously pass on the URL, we pass on the ask price, we pass on the context as much as we can find, and then obviously the buyers add their own intelligence, and then they duke it out, and whoever bids the highest for that impression wins. And we do that about 400 million times a day in 45 different countries, which I think is pretty good for a company from Colorado.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're doing all of that in your basement in Colorado?
And it takes a half second, which is awesome.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And also magical.
Yeah.
Go mathletes.
Yeah, right, sure.
But I'm going to pick on you for a second because you're being awfully humble when you say that publishers dump their inventory into the exchange.
Right.
So why do you think publishers should be attracted to this new model relative to what has existed for them before, particularly with respect to video?
Well, I think as it relates to the video advertising ecosystem, something that's pretty important to point out is the fact that it's not like the display ecosystem. Meaning, in the display ecosystem, you have hundreds upon hundreds of participants. You have 300 plus ad networks. You have 50 plus DSPs. And it's because these campaigns run in perpetuity. It's mostly direct response, right? The Progressive campaign doesn't end. Progressive will work with as many advertisers as they can, as long as they generate the best possible CPA for them. And this is just from what we observe in the video advertising ecosystem. When a media buyer goes out there and actually does a buy, there might be 5 vendors on the plan. So for a lot of publishers, that means they're not getting in there. They're not getting in the meeting with the media buyer. Okay. Right. So a lot of publishers, right? That let's say everyone out of the top 50 or top 100 ComScore, they actually are looking to someone like SpotXchange and Exchange to bring the demand that they're otherwise not getting because they're not invited to the party.
So is there something intrinsic about programmatic that makes that possible for them, or is it just that programmatic makes, operationally makes things more efficient? Where is the yesterday and tomorrow? Sure.
Well, I think programmatic, I like to, again, going back to being a simple man, I like to just define programmatic as just automating the process.
Okay.
But what you're also automating is the connection with buyers. And so, I think, for us, over the past 18 months, I think that's what we've seen as the biggest change in our industry. We've gone from in 18 months, absolutely 0 RTB bidders, 0 revenue from programmatic, to approximately 40% of all impressions being won by programmatic buyers.
Over 18 months?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and we currently have, I believe, about 50 buyers on the programmatic side. So those would be the DSPs and the agency trading desks. So yeah, I think it's, we're bringing a lot of demand to these publishers.
So what are you excited about, in the coming year? I mean, I could say what are the trends, and you could answer that question, or you could tell me what you think is super cool that people haven't figured out yet.
2 things. I think one, for us personally and where we're focused, and I think a lot of folks are actually focused on this. Is you hear this concept of programmatic buying, right? Well, what's programmatic buying? Well, it's the ability to buy impressions on evaluate each and every single impression and say whether or not you want that based on all of these parameters, and then to assign your own value to it and possibly win it, right? So that's amazing, right? On the supply side, I would say that our industry's not quite there. They don't have the same exact tools.
Okay.
When you look at them, even though the buy side's looking at each and every impression going, ooh, look, that's a player size of X amount. It's on this site. It's this person. I'll pay 10. The supply side's going, starting bid's 5, starting bid's 5, starting bid's 5, right?
Yeah.
So where we're focused on is really this programmatic selling, right? So as a person, you can't honestly go out there and segment all of your inventory and assign an individual price on all of the unique parameters that are associated with an impression. So again, we're automating that so that publishers can actually assign premiums to certain attributes, right? To certain demo audiences, to certain URLs, to certain player sizes, to certain content, etc. So that's one area I'm excited about. The next is really, I'm not sure, has it come up today, private marketplaces?
A little bit. Okay. A little bit, but not necessarily explicitly with video. We've talked conceptually about private marketplaces, but talk to me about that.
Well, I'm just excited about it because, I think at the end of the day, again, going back to programmatic, programmatic offers the opportunity for buyers and sellers to work directly, right? Going back to that conversation of why are there only 5, vendors for the agency? Because the agency doesn't have time to work with hundreds of vendors. If you can automate that process, inject some efficiencies, then the agency trading desk can really go back to really evaluating on a case-by-case basis and then negotiating with individual publishers. And I think that's why I get excited about programmatic, where you've kind of automated everything, right? You've automated the connection, you've automated the RFP and sales process. And by the way, salespeople aren't going away. You still have to schmooze and express the value of your inventory, but you've automated the reports and the billing and the delivery and that scary, Terry Kawaja slide of all of those different players are automatically integrated, so you don't have to think about this interactive ad server or bringing in Quantcast, et cetera. Those are just buttons and levers that you actually bring in. So I'm excited about private marketplaces because I think it allows, particularly in the premium video space, right? These premium publishers to connect with the Zaxxuses directly of the world.
So in a sentence, because we didn't actually get you to do that, can you define private marketplace from your perspective?
Oh God, you are just like tapped into several meetings at SpotXchange.
Probably a lot of angst.
If they're watching right now, they're laughing. They're like, okay, let's see what he says.
Yeah, he's going to string together 15 words that maybe make sense, maybe don't. Right.
Well, we term it as an invite-only marketplace. And it may be governed by, programmatic. Then you start to lob on some other attributes, right? Because programmatic is not a business model. So you can run a private exchange, and for your unsold inventory, your non-guaranteed inventory, you can auction it off. But that's not what a private marketplace always is, right? It can be a direct deal that says, I'm going to give you 1 million impressions for this segment of inventory, transact. The industry's not quite there yet, but that is where it's going, right? And I think it starts to blur the lines between, unsold inventory, which, when you say programmatic, don't you just think unsold inventory, to guaranteed. Yeah. And it can get there. And I think especially in video it can get there.